So, nearby Lucas. I guess we have to do it, don't we?
We do.
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
So nearby Lucas, as you often do, would you like to let the lovely audience watching at home know what we're talking about on this episode of Wiki Weekenders?
Well, you told me that we were talking about Obi-Wan. I'm not sure if we're talking about the character or the show.
The character.
The character, okay.
Because the show's not out yet, but it hopefully will be around the time this video goes out, because that's called riding those analytics, folks.
This is when it's just like 3 weeks out. It's like, oh, we planned this poorly.
Just like, Lucas, can you edit this now? I'm sorry, I'm playing Destiny 2, and so I understand. But, Lucas, what's your experience with the character of Obi-Wan and the Star Wars series as a whole?
I mean, I'm pretty much just the kind of relatively casual Star Wars fan that has watched the movies and then played a couple of video games.
Yeah. I'm in a similar boat, but my boat has like capsized, and rather than swimming to shore, I've just swam out into the ocean and accepted it.
Just end me now.
Because I'm like, I am fucking done with Star Wars. I'm so bored of that series now, because it all revolves around the same three fucking people.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of it. And one of those people is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
And yeah, I guess shout out to original Obi-Wan, like, you know, the first movie.
Just dying. He saw it coming, he just like, kill me, end it now.
It's so weird, because they set that movie up as a sequel, but you can't access the prequels. Mm-hmm. And it's just, even today, like watching that movie, it's a good movie and I love it, don't get me wrong, but like, it is such a weird concept of, we're gonna throw you into like part 6 of a story, but fuck you, you don't know what the rest are. Like, just casually mentioning the Clone Wars, and Luke's like...
Lucas, would it surprise you to learn that George Lucas wrote this series as he was going along?
I mean, I already knew that, but yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Anyway, Lucas, would you like to hear some basic biographical information about Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Hell yeah.
So we have here, Obi-Wan Kenobi, homeworld, Stu John, died 0 BBY and born in 57 BBY, I don't care.
BBY, like before Baby Yoda.
Before Baby Yoda. You shouldn't have said that, I didn't know that would come in. Oh, yeah, these aren't rehearsed, folks, fucking hell. Before Baby Yoda. Have you seen that great image of just George Lucas holding Baby Yoda? No. And he's crying because it looks like Baby Yoda is absorbing George Lucas's life essence. Because it's all blurry and shit. Anyway, Obi-Wan Kenobi, also known as Ben Kenobi, was a human male Jedi Master who served on the Jedi High Council during the final years of the Republic era. As a Jedi General, he served in the Grand Army of the Republic that fought against the Separatist droid army during the Clone Wars. And then he got his shit pushed in by Darth Vader and became a cool ghost.
It's like, he probably didn't, if you pay attention to like Star Wars, I guess, because he just gives up, doesn't he?
I like that though, because that's what Yoda does.
Mm-hmm.
There's that great image that goes around of like, I respect Yoda in the original trilogy so much because he gets asked so many questions, he gives up and dies. It's just, I respect it, Yoda, just like Yoda's death is on par with like Talia al Ghul's death in Dark Knight Rises of just Do you know that actress has got an Oscar? She's an Oscar-winning actress, and like that's the amount of effort she put into that death scene. It was just.
To be fair, that movie took a lot of Oscar-winning actors and gave them like 7 out of 10 performances.
The only people in those movies who gave a shit is just obviously Patrick Bateman. Oh, sorry, Patrick Bateman. That's how good an actor he is. He's Patrick. What's his name again?
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale, because he's a method actor and he's insane. And Heath Ledger.
Yeah, you know, obviously Michael Caine.
The thing is, Michael Caine turned up.
He did.
He turned up and he was Michael Caine for a bit. Have you ever heard that like great story about? Do you know where Michael Caine he shits himself when Heath Ledger walks in? The story there is he did have a line in that moment for like the party scene, but he'd never seen Heath Ledger in Joker makeup. Oh, so he was so surprised, he just goes, and just Heath Ledger rolled with it.
Yeah.
It's like, Joe always like taking people's drinks and throwing them out. He wasn't supposed to do that.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Because he just walked in and owned the scene. It's literally that meme, isn't it? Of like enters scene, gives a 10 out of 10 performance, refuses to elaborate, leaves. Great. Adopting a hermit lifestyle as Ben Kenobi, watched over Vader and Senator Padme Amidala's son, Luke, while in exile. And one of the things I love about Star Wars is that so much of it hinges on retconning. For example, Ben Kenobi's outfit while he's in exile on Tatooine, he wears like the robes, doesn't he?
Yeah, but then they make those out to be Jedi robes later, even though that's what he wore to hide the fact he was a Jedi.
On Tatooine, and it's the native dress of people on Tatooine. But because people know the only other Jedi they knew for that moment was Ben Kenobi, that's the outfit they wear, even though it doesn't make any sense, because like you said, he's in exile and he's hiding, and he hides by dressing like a Jedi using his own last name. Yes. What?
And obviously the other really famous one is that he points out, he literally has a line in the movie that he doesn't know these droids.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean? Do you mean that droid, R2-D2, that you literally like had as a companion for years?
Like, you've spoken to him and you have no idea who it is. It's almost like those movies were written as they went along. Mm-hmm. It's like the one of them, like, only stormtroopers could be this accurate. And it's like you see them like, and then they retcon that. Have you ever seen the retcon for that, which I don't think is canon anymore?
I think I've heard about it previously, but go on.
There's like a Star Wars novel where they say rebels broke into a base that produced stormtrooper rifles and changed all the sights.
Oh, right.
To explain why there's such shit. Anyway, Lucas, like, so as you might imagine, the biography of like Obi-Wan Kenobi goes on for like 9 years. So you just want to skip straight to the fun stuff, which is powers and abilities.
I mean, my question is, has he got any band names that aren't Ben Kenobi?
No, he's got Obi-Wan Kenobi and Ben Kenobi.
Okay. Well, let's get straight to powers and abilities.
He's also personality as well, but his personality doesn't matter because the only thing people know about him now is just memes.
Hello there.
Yeah. Have I ever told a story about one of the funniest things that's ever happened to me while streaming? Where it's a guy came in, said hello there, no one responded with the expected response of General Kenobi, so he posted General Kenobi himself 30 seconds later, and I was just, that is incredible. Anyway, powers and abilities, lightsaber combat. And a quote from Obi-Wan here, this weapon is your life.
Yeah. I mean, he keeps the same lightsaber. He's one of the few Jedi that only use the one.
It's so stupid though, I use 50.
I mean, that's true. Just General Grievous it.
General Grievous is so fucking smart. When he just does that tactic where it's just the...
I mean, yeah, but then it gets stopped by just one poke from General Kenobi himself.
And I think we've talked before about why does no Jedi ever turn their lightsaber off mid-combat? Yeah. So that's the thing. Because that's the thing, the series is very clearly inspired by samurai movies.
Yeah, I think George Lucas has been pretty open about that.
These are samurai movies crossed with westerns, only they have lasers instead of, like, guns.
Yeah, just in space instead, yeah.
They're effectively like samurai westerns in space. But that's the thing though, like, samurais couldn't turn their sword off, Jedis can, and that is such a broken OP ability. Like, can you imagine like you having a fight and then just randomly you turn the lightsaber off, turn it back on for a split second, and then just cut through your opponent?
Well, that's the thing. If your opponent goes to parry your blade, you can turn your blade off, get past the blade, and then turn it back on.
Yeah.
And essentially nullify the parry. And yeah, that might be hard to do, but these people also are like Jedi masters that are trained in this combat. Why would none of them ever think of that?
And then like General Grievous got robot hands. Like, do you know that, like the blender technique, if he was just randomly turning off the lightsabers?
God, that would be...
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is though, how would you stop it?
Yeah.
You couldn't, because like, if Obi-Wan did that tactic of holding his lightsaber out, it would not work, because one of them would get through and he'd have his arms cut off. And that's one of the cool things a lightsaber can do. It's one of the things that's so frustrating about Star Wars, is that there's so much potential there, but it's never explored.
And I don't know whether, like, maybe there is some extended universe thing where
There
that
probably
happens,
is, yeah.
but the choreography for the movies is normally very, like, simple and basic. And
Except for the fight on Mustafar, where it's just fuck it out there. Dun, dun,
well,
dun,
no,
dun.
there's also the Darth Maul battle, though. Like, the one scene that has made a really bad character, like, the most popular person ever, because fair play to, like, Ray Parker playing Darth Maul.
Oh, he's all the backflips and shit.
They own that battle. That is so iconic.
Yeah, and one of the things I like about the prequels is that lightsaber combat actually looks interesting, because like, yeah, these things weigh like nothing. They're light, essentially. You should be able to do like 18 backflips. Like, I know everyone memes on the Yoda fight, but yeah, that's how a character like Yoda would get the advantage in battle. So let's be honest, if you're going up to fight Yoda and all 2 foot of him comes up, like, what's he gonna do? And then he does like that backflip thing. You're like, whoa, I'm not messing with this guy.
Well, yeah, he's got to find some advantage, because it's certainly not reach, is it?
Play jumps, it's all about high ground. Anyway, Kenobi was a very capable lightsaber duelist, one of the greatest swordsmen of his time. Throughout his training, he had mastered several forms of lightsaber combat, including Form 3. And there are 7 forms of lightsaber combat, if I remember correctly, and Form 3 is the most defensive one.
Is it 9 or 7?
I think it's 7.
Yeah.
But Form 3, if I remember correctly, is the most defensive one, because essentially Obi-Wan Kenobi put all his stats into defense.
And charisma.
And charisma. Only when he's played by Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, yeah.
Young Obi-Wan for sure, yes. But his fight style essentially is all defense, which is why, like, the contrast between him and Grievous is very clearly all attack. It's pure offense versus pure defense. It says here that, in contrast to the aggressive dueling styles of Qui-Gon Jinn and Anakin Skywalker, Kenobi's combat style was mainly, if not entirely, defensive. They would use aggressive attacks when pressed. He faced some of the most dangerous people in the galaxy, such as Darth Maul and the infamous Jedi hunter General Grievous. Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you have like a favourite like Kenobi fight? 'Cause I do love when you go back and watch that original trilogy and it's like 2 old men touching tips. Just and it looks so bad.
It does look really bad, but shout out to the sequel, like, you know, Empire and Return of the Jedi. Those fights are legitimately still interesting and good. They really did step it up in that department.
They did, but they look so different to the prequels. And do you know why that is? This is some more behind the scenes stuff people may not know.
I presume it's because, like, they had the actual, like, the blades, didn't they, that were really, like, fragile?
It's because George Lucas was inspired by, like, you know, early sword fighting movies, and he told the actors to pretend lightsabers were heavy. He told them to pretend and swing them around like they were a proper sword. And then for the prequels, he realised that's stupid, they're made of light, or whatever, like plasma, I think it is. Someone's going to correct us on that one.
I think they're technically more like plasma swords,
But they don't weigh anything realistically, so swing them around like a madman, because they've got no weight to them, so you should be able to, like, you know, do all these crazy acrobatic moves. Which is why the fight scenes look so different. It's like, Obi-Wan Kenobi should realistically be doing all those backflips. It's like, oh, he's an old man. Well, so was Yoda. Yoda was 900, and look at the shit he was doing. Obi-Wan should realistically be doing the same thing in that fight scene, but he didn't.
I mean, maybe that's just, you know, all of those years that he didn't spend fighting Karl.
You mean like Yoda?
No.
Yoda's 900 years old and only, like,
no, Yoda's got the tree. He just goes in there to fight people.
And he still did. That's the thing. It's based entirely on. Anyway, Kenobi was able to duel Grievous to a draw in their 3rd and 4th encounters. He was able to overpower in their 2nd duel and ultimately kill him in the final round, albeit with a blaster rather than a lightsaber, proving that blasters work better. Like, unless you're able to deflect them every single time, blasters kick ass.
Yeah, because Luke gets hit with the, like, grazed with a blaster like Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Gets shut down in The Force Awakens and, you know, obviously contends with, but basically loses to Rey.
Yeah, which is that thing, right? The T-shirt here is like I'm wearing now is a reference. I'm like, why does Rey beat Kylo Ren? It's like, well, he takes a Bowcaster bolt to the kidney. And keep in mind, folks, as well, that the Bowcaster does this to a Stormtrooper in heavy armour. And it's like, yeah, I wonder how that guy lost a fight against someone after his kidney had just been obliterated by a bowcaster. Kenobi was also able to defeat his former apprentice, Anakin Skywalker, then Darth Vader, in an epic duel on Mustafar, making use of his staunch Form 3 defense throughout the fight. And I adore that fight scene. Just because, again, this is why I like Star Wars is so hilarious to me. That there's an in-universe explanation for why Anakin keeps doing backflips.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, do you want to know what that is?
Oh, yeah, isn't it because he's, like, so good he likes to show off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anyone's wondering what we mean by that, throughout his Jedi training, Anakin has constantly been told, you are the greatest, like, Force-capable person we've ever seen. The amount of Force power you have in reserve eclipses all other Jedi and even Sith. So he uses the very Force power-taxing acrobatic maneuvers. Because you see Yoda do the same thing when he empowers himself with the Force and can, like, you know, be much more acrobatic and agile than his, you know, his frail elderly frame would suggest. But Yoda's exhausted after doing it for a few minutes. But because Anakin has so much Force potential, he can do it near indefinitely. So he does it just to show off.
God, he's got so many of those midichlorians, Karl.
He's got so many. He just absolutely caked in midichlorian. He was able to exploit Vader's aggressive nature and dismember the hate-filled Sith Lord when he recklessly jumped towards him. It's like, the thing is, though, that's such a sad, pathetic end to that fight, isn't it? Of just,
yeah,
he does a backflip and doesn't protect his legs. Like, the same way, like, he beats Darth Maul.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, only it's like this time someone's doing a backflip over him, he's then doing a backflip over him. And I love, though, that Darth Maul has, like, a good 5 seconds before he gets cut in half in that film.
Yeah, he turns around, sees what's happening, and then gets cut. It's like, maybe, yeah, okay, Darth.
Good job stopping that one. It's like the Witch King of Aramar, I think it is. Do you know like when he gets stabbed in the face? And he just stands there for like 10 minutes and just waits. He lets it happen. It's like, you go, Witch King. Just, I am no man. It's like, okay, cool. That's a great line, but the Witch King should probably stand up and not get stabbed in the face. Oh, it says it. A few years later, during his rematch with Vader on the first Death Star, Kenobi proved formidable enough to hold his own against the Sith Lord for a short time. However, Vader's cautious but relentless assault ultimately overwhelmed Kenobi's defenses and he was forced to retreat. Ultimately, he chose to become one with the Force rather than continue fighting. So he just pieces out, he just gives up.
He gives Luke 3 days of Jedi training. He goes, that'll do.
Do you know what? It's fine. He'll do right. So there we go. Force powers. Though Kenobi focused largely on lightsaber combat because they didn't have CGI budgets back in the 80s, he was also very skilled and powerful user of the Force. He was trained in the form of mind trick, using it whenever possible to avoid physical confrontations. You should do that every day. Do you think he never paid for blue milk?
No.
He never paid. It's like, I've already paid. What? I've already paid. He was capable of using telekinesis to push or levitate objects or to crush them, as seen when he commanded 2 command droids to recover his lightsaber after a difficult hand-to-hand fight. So he couldn't even stand up. It's like, bring my lightsaber. He could have used the Force to bring his lightsaber to him. And
yeah.
The Force, the only thing, again, it's so underutilized in that universe of, if you can push people over, why is every lightsaber fight not people snatching lightsabers out of people's hands using the Force?
Yeah, and I think, obviously, like, if you're both at, like, similar levels of ability, like, you see in the prequels, like, oh, why don't you just always use lightning? It's like, oh, well, Yoda, like, finds a way to just enclose it in his fists.
Yeah, use the Force to dissipate it. At which point, Palpatine should have, while he's holding the lightning in his hands, should have just ran over and punched him. Because have you ever seen like that breakdown of the most powerful technique in all of Star Wars is just kicking people?
Oh, I thought you were going to say it's that jump attack that he has. You know that the Emperor does it.
Because someone did a breakdown of it. Because there's a breakdown out there showcasing that every single kick ever thrown in Star Wars reaches its mark and knocks the other person out, with the exception of one kick thrown by Luke Skywalker in, I think it's the second movie, when they're fighting over the Sarlacc.
That'll be Jedi.
Okay, Return of the Jedi, where Mark Hamill missed his cue, but the stuntman still goes backwards, and that's been retconned that he used the Force to kick him.
He uses a Force kick.
Force kick! And that's led to like this theory that kicking is the most powerful Jedi technique, because there's a movie where Obi-Wan does a drop kick. It's like the most forbidden technique is using 2 kicks at once. And then other abilities, he was a great military strategist, really.
Well, he was a general in the Clone Wars.
You mean that war where they just kept sending their endless disposable clone out? Right, there's a scene where I think it's like either Yoda or like Kenobi, they jump off a ship as it's shot down and they don't even turn around. Yeah. Literally as they're stepping off, it gets blown up and he doesn't even turn around to see if anyone's okay. And
it's one of those where the lore makes sense for that to be a thing that he's like a good strategist, but the films don't showcase it.
Yeah. Because just that thing, him stepping off a ship as it explodes, and he doesn't even give a shit. It's like there was so many men on that ship, and he doesn't care.
It's not like he turns around and he's like, "Oh no, Cody!" It's just like, yeah, walk on.
This disposable clone arms, like just flash clone like 8 billion more. Ironically enough, they don't really have the moral high ground in that situation. When it's like, yeah, look at them, they're using their droid army to like subjugate the universe. Like, well, robots are probably a better fighting force, at least like, you know, from a moral standpoint, than the forcibly conscripted child clone soldiers.
Both, you know, Jango and Boba Fett have personalities. It's not as if these are like, you know, mindless grunts or something that they can argue don't have feelings or emotions. No, let the same guy get murdered over and over again millions of times.
That's why people like the Clone Wars TV show, because all the clones have personality. Mm-hmm. And they develop their own personality based on, like, you know, their actions and experiences. Mm-hmm. And then just smash cuts of one of them just stepping off a plane, like 80 of them blow up. Like, at least one of those guys in there was working on an album. You know it. And they let him die.